Hey guys, it's Neon. Welcome back to CLOWNFISH TV. We're going to talk about Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker in the great reshoot debacle. Yeah, Rise of Skywalker, it is no secret there have been extensive reshoots on this movie, and we don't know exactly how extensive they've been, but if these rumors are true, we are looking at basically a totally different movie than what was originally envisioned based on audience feedback, right? Based on screenings, which were reportedly disastrous. Apparently the test screenings for this movie were disastrous, and they remade the movie accordingly, bringing in George Lucas, apparently. I mean, it's a mess. It's a mess. Now, these are rumors. They're rumors that come via Doomcock, YouTuber Doomcock, courtesy of his alleged insider connections. So, you know, proceed with caution, but given that it has been proven that the Rise of Skywalker is in trouble, I mean, it's seemingly in trouble that they're still doing reshoots this close to release, it is very plausible that some of this could be true. So before we get into the video, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants here on CLOWNFISH TV. We're at about 72,000 subs, hoping for 100,000 soon. Thank you for your support. Make sure you're still subscribed. YouTube keeps unsubscribing people. Make sure your notifications are turned on. They have a tendency to do that too. I don't know if it's just a YouTube glitch or they're trying to, you know, push out some problematic channels. But here we go. This is coming from Bounding Into Comics, courtesy of Victor Von Doomcock. Rumor, again, it is a rumor, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker to introduce a secret Skywalker. Yeah, oh god, okay, here we go. So apparently things were so disastrous. Things went so horribly wrong with the test audience during the screening that they rewrote the entire ending. They rewrote the ending and they're adding another Skywalker? Who the hell knows? Because the original leaked ending, from my understanding, based on multiple leaks, was that Rey was going to basically usurp the Skywalker name and live in Luke's old house on Tatooine. Hopefully she does some decorating. I'm sure it's a little crispy inside, but that's the rumor. That is a rumored ending. If the ending has been changed, it's possible they're just going to introduce some random new Skywalker character that's never been mentioned before. Wow. Okay, so new rumor indicates that Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker test screenings introduce a new secret Skywalker. Not only does this rumor indicate there will be a new secret Skywalker, but the character is the result of disastrous test screenings. Maybe that's where Matt Smith went. Maybe he's Luke's long-lost nephew. The rumor comes from YouTuber Doomcock, who states, a few months ago, a nearly finished movie was screened to a series of test audiences composed of more or less a fourth Star Wars nuts, 1/4 Star Wars fans, 1/4 people who know of Star Wars but don't buy merchandise, and 1/4 of folks who are just as likely to see the latest Chipmunks movie as Star Wars. Along with these folks who are paid, by the way, there were approximately 100 others who were associated with the film in some capacity. This is true. Disney does test screen its movies. Every studio test screens its movies. Disney does test screenings months and months ahead of time, so there is time to make a course correction if they have to do it. We had people coming to us with leaks from the Aladdin movie that turned out to be true, but some of the plot points were changed, obviously, for the final film, probably based on audience feedback. One of the most notorious examples of audience pushback, audience score determining how a movie goes, is Little Shop of Horrors from 1986. The original ending followed the original movie, the original 1960s movie, and the original Broadway play, or off-Broadway play, and Audrey 2 won. The plants took over the world, everybody died. And it was a really cool sequence, and it is on the director's cut, where you can see these giant puppet plants just wrecking havoc, kaiju style. It's pretty awesome, but the test audiences hated it because they killed off Seymour and Audrey at the end of the movie. But that happened in the play too. But people didn't like it, so they changed it. They reshot the entire ending, and we got the ending that you saw in the theaters where they just blow up Audrey 2. like the Death Star, just like poof, and that's it. So it's very possible that the ending has changed. It's very possible, if the ending is the one that we've heard about, which is Rey taking the name of Skywalker and moving into Luke's old house with his lightsaber and all of that, and basically she's the new Skywalker Jedi Master, that probably is not going to play well to a lot of Star Wars fans. So Doomcock continues. The first act, which all of the reviewers thought was pretty good, garnered a 65, which is really not too bad. The second act scored a 12, which is really, really bad. Yeah, Little Shop of Horrors, if I remember correctly, they reshot the entire ending based on it getting like a 13 or a 14, I guess. And they decided to reshoot the entire ending. The third act scored a 4, with only the folks just as likely to view any movie giving it any points at all. Wow. Okay, so what's the problem? He then details they screened the film to around a half a dozen other test audiences, with the aggregate score being only 29. Doomcock then details one of the main problems these test audiences had with the film, including Disney CEO Bob Iger. We're going to talk a little bit about Bob Iger. The common theme, I'm told, is that Rey doesn't win as much as literally stomps a mud hole into the Emperor's ass. When this happens, all the screeners burst into laughter. We're talking Emperor Palpatine, one of the most powerful Force users in Star Wars canon, in the galaxy. Supreme Chancellor, Emperor Sheev Palpatine, Master Manipulator, Master of the Dark Side of the Force, almost took out Yoda. And Rey is going to kick his ass the first time they meet, with no formal training at all. I guess it's because she can lift more rocks than Luke. Maybe that qualifies her to kick the Emperor's ass again. So after the film was viewed by Iger, he ordered a redo. Okay, so this is interesting. Again, Bob Iger is getting very, very involved in Star Wars. In fact, he was making comments the other day about The Mandalorian, that he had actually viewed it a couple of times and was giving notes. What you're not hearing about is Kathleen Kennedy. Why isn't Kathleen Kennedy the one that's directing, which way they should go with the Star Wars saga, with the Skywalker saga? She doesn't seem to really be doing anything right now, does she? I think Bob Iger is basically micromanaging Kathleen Kennedy at this point. I think he is the one who's getting the final say on Star Wars projects. He might be the one responsible for the rumored disbanding of the Lucasfilm story group. There's definitely something going on here. Bob Iger is absolutely taking a more proactive role in Lucasfilm, and it probably is all the bad press. This is how Disney tends to do things. They don't really get involved until they have to. That's why Marvel Comics was able to, kind of run itself into the ground until Disney stepped in and got rid of Axel Alonso, because the bad press wasn't there. The publisher was good at hiding the numbers or whatever. And as long as the bad press wasn't there and the numbers were decent, Disney didn't get involved. As soon as Marvel's problems, spread outside the comic book industry, then all of a sudden Disney descended. Now we've seen, Axel Alonso get gone. We're seeing, Kevin Feige stepping in to run all of Marvel. So this seems to be what's going on right now with Star Wars, where things were fine as long as The Force Awakens was making money and people were on board with Star Wars. Rogue One did okay. Solo was a blow. The Last Jedi was a huge blow. The backlash, the months and months and months of backlash that Lucasfilm and Disney have had to deal with as a result of The Last Jedi, and Rian Johnson and their people going out to social media and attacking fans. Galaxy's Edge being a major, major flop. All of this bad press, the toys not selling anymore. All of this bad press, Iger is definitely more involved in Star Wars at this point. But the funny thing is from what we have heard from Imagineers, and we had Nathan Hartman from the Dreamfinders podcast on, who interviewed an Imagineer who worked on Galaxy's Edge. That Imagineer said that it was Bob Iger's idea to base the Star Wars land on the sequel trilogy instead of the original trilogy. So, Bob, I'm just saying. I'm just putting that out there. So anyway, Doomcock details that this new version of the film adds in Anakin and Luke in the flesh. In the flesh. They're bringing them back in the flesh. How is that possible? Don't ask, I don't know, and reworks the latter half of the first act and some of the second. This version apparently fared better in the test screenings. Doomcock notes it received a 65. It's passing, I guess, right? However, Doomcock notes there is a third version of the film as well. We have heard this from multiple people, that there are several cuts of this movie floating around. But what we didn't realize is how extensive the reshoots could potentially be. While this was going on with the test screenings of these other two versions, George Lucas, who did some script help about a year ago, pitches a new idea which incorporates a little of Kennedy and J.J. Abrams' version and a little bit of the Iger movie, but totally reworks the third act and introduces a secret Skywalker. Apparently, this version of the film screened extremely well. Doomcock notes it received an 88, which he describes as really good. Doomcock's sources note that there are 3 possible paths for Disney to take. Here's the prediction. You're going to see one of these 3 outcomes. Kennedy gets fired and Iger picks up the Lucas version. That's possible. It looks to me like Bob Iger is taking a more proactive role with Star Wars. He's the one that seems to be signing off on The Mandalorian. He's the one that's signing off on the Rise of Skywalker. That should be Kathleen Kennedy's job. But they won't just outright fire Kathleen Kennedy. They will give her some big flowery send-off, make it like it was her decision to leave, kind of like they did with that other female executive that worked in the parks. And in reality, if that happens, she will have gotten shit canned. They're just going to put a positive spin on it because she's been working in Hollywood for so long, right? Kennedy quits and Iger picks up the Lucas version. That is possible. Either one of those scenarios sees Kennedy out the door. The movie gets pushed back to May. That is not going to happen. Not this far out. And I just don't see how they could possibly push this movie back. They're not going to push the movie back. The thing is, if this is true, this explains why we haven't seen a whole lot of actual footage from the movie, because it seems like they're giving us clip shows. They're lingering on the scene they know is going to be in the movie with the first trailer. Even the last trailer was utterly underwhelming, and it didn't tell us a damn thing about the plot of the movie. Probably, maybe, possibly, because they don't know which version of the movie is actually going to drop in theaters. But they just knew that those scenes were actually going to be in the movie to some degree. So I don't know. Again, this is all rumor, but it would make sense given the way things are going. Doomcock's source also notes that Lucasfilm and Disney have spent almost $300 million after the first test screenings were received so poorly. So again, we're looking at another Solo scenario where Disney's basically making a movie twice. They're paying for 2 movies. If they have to spend another $300 million, which I completely agree, if they have to reshoot that much of the movie, then they've effectively filmed 2 Star Wars movies. They paid for 2. So even if this movie makes $1 billion at the box office, which is very likely given it is a Star Wars movie, even a subpar Star Wars movie in the main Skywalker saga is probably going to break $1 billion. But who knows? Even if it breaks $1 billion, they're still going to be in the hole. They're still going to be in the hole for this thing because they probably spent $500 to $600 million total on this movie, if this is true. Again, I want to state, we don't know if any of this is true, but those reshoots probably did cost them some money. And the fact that they're reshooting this late in the game means that this movie is in trouble. They're not going to tell people this movie is in trouble. They absolutely will not tell people that this movie is in trouble because Star Wars is under a microscope right now. There's a very irate fan base out there ready to pounce on any bad news. And if they let it slip that Star Wars was not in a good place right now, this movie was not show ready, that frankly this movie should be scrapped and reshot and brought out in May or even December of next year, that on top of Galaxy's Edge, on top of Solo, on top of the toy sales, that's disastrous. I sat in on the Q4 earnings call yesterday, the Disney Q4 earnings call, and Bob Iger, any questions about Star Wars, he deflected. He did not want to talk about Star Wars. All he cared about was Disney Plus. Literally, that's all he cared about. Now they're pushing The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, and Bob Iger apparently is the final sign-off on that too. But they're not, he doesn't want to talk about Star Wars. I think it's a sore subject. I think he knows if this movie does not perform well, that is the death knell. I mean, we're talking, you know, this is coming right after the Game of Thrones guys quit or got fired or whatever the hell's going on. I mean, there's definitely upheaval. There's definitely chaos going on over at Lucasfilm. We just don't know the extent of how bad things really are. But I think they're pretty bad. You know, even if these particular rumors are not true, I think it's really, really bad. So Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is still expected to hit theaters on December 20th, 2019. Yeah, they're not going to push it back, but they're gonna do whatever they have to do to make sure this movie makes money. And they're generating buzz, and there's been talk that they're buying their own damn tickets to make sure people are interested. This movie cannot fail. And if it does, it's going to be disastrous for the franchise. Absolutely disastrous for the franchise. In other news, Donald Glover is supposed to be coming back as Lando in a new Star Wars Disney Plus show, because Star Wars has been relegated to TV. Star Wars is direct to TV from here on out. Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.